Dr. Stone has always been a very interesting thing for me in that it's a show about science that gets very wordy about its science, but I always found myself totally invested and totally loving it. But I just got done with Dr. Stone's Stone Wars, and this is my review on it. It is a series that ran in the winter 2021 anime season and ran for 11 episodes. So let's jump into it. For those unaware, I don't know why you would. Dr. Stone essentially takes place in modern times initially, and it follows a guy named Senku who is just really into science. He's just an absolute nerd. And he has a friend named Taiju, and Taiju is just about to go confess his love to the girl that he loves. And just as all this is happening, a bright light appears in the distance, and everybody seemingly on Earth is turned to stone, including Senku. Jump forward in time, and Senku, still conscious at this point, finds himself released from his stone prison. The stones on his body cracks, and he is back to normal. Everything around him has changed. Of course, plant life and everything has retaken the world, and it is up in his mind, it is up to him to basically rebuild society. In his mind, he loves science so much, he doesn't want that stuff to go to waste. And so instead of waiting, thousands of years for mankind to basically rebuild their science to the point that they were going off into space and everything, he's going to jumpstart science and rebuild society faster. And that becomes his goal. His initial goal is to figure out, how did he get break out of the stone itself, which he ends up finding a cure for it and using that cure to release his friend along with other people in order to, again, rebuild society over time. Unfortunately for him, he decides to free a guy named Tsukasa. And Tsukasa was going to basically be his protector. He was freeing him because he knew who he was. He was this guy that was known as being like the strongest boy ever. And this Tsukasa, even though he does promise to help Senku and protect him, eventually they have kind of an odds of how they think society should be rebuilded. Tsukasa tries to push Senku to basically allow him to destroy any statue that is of an adult, because he believes that if you bring adults back into the society, they're just going to ruin it again. So we should just destroy all the adults. And Senku's like, no, I want to rebuild the world and I want to help everybody. This is his goal is to free everybody. And so in their odds becomes a rift basically created between the two of them. Tsukasa attempts to kill Senku. They become separated, and thus we move into basically the season 2 after Senku has basically established a village of science. He finds a village of people and starts building science. Senku's freeing people from the stone to build his army, and eventually the two are going to go head to head. And again, that's how we open up the Stone Wars, which is this season. And this is the point in which the two sides are basically going to collide. We have the side of science, and we have the side of basically tribalism, new society, going head to head, and how Senku is going to overcome that. But yes, like I said earlier, and it definitely does continue into the second season, or the Stone Wars particularly, is I am absolutely fascinated by the fact that this show has so much wordy science, but it's always in how they kind of portray it that is always so entertaining. I think it's like a mixture of the music, the presentation, the characters responding to it. I guess technically keeping it pretty simple with the science itself. That whenever there's something kind of presented by Senku and he's overly explaining what he's doing, I'm still totally entertained by it. And like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with kind of the reaction of the people around him. There's a lot of people there that are not from our current times. They're actually tribes that, repopulated over time while everybody else was in stone. And you'll find out, of course, the reason for that in, things I'm not going to get into for spoiler reasons, which I think is probably one of the best arcs of the series. But then on top of that, I really do like a lot of the characters. They're a lot of fun to be around. Senku is fantastic as always. Kohaku's great. Jin had a lot of great moments in this season, particularly. Just a really solid cast of characters to all kind of accent Senku's desire to create things and create the niceties that we enjoy so much today through very complex means. But I guess my struggle with this season is really only in Tsukasa. I've never really understood Tsukasa as a character, and I always kind of chopped it up as being kind of a mistranslation thing, but it never made sense to me. A person who is willing to kind of sacrifice all adults likes to revive a lot of very grown up people. I can't say a bunch of really huge muscly men are actually children, but I kind of chopped it up as a thing of, well, maybe he's just specifically talking about people that currently or back then controlled society, the more older adults that he somehow figures out through seeing them that they are a cause of or were in control of the government in some way. It's all I can really picture it because, like I said, most of the people that he's reviving are obviously adult or they are working class people, obviously, because some of them are actually working and he's recruited them for their specialties. So I always kind of find that interesting or odd, but at the same time, I kind of just chopped it up as that. Because there's a few situations in the Doctor Stone series that does get me pause, and I think it's a lot of it has to do with invoking a little bit of suspension of disbelief. I mean, we have characters that are seemingly just revived from being in stone since back in the modern times, and yet they are using spears on sticks to chop down trees by stabbing them. We have just way crazy superhuman strength that a lot of these characters have. Tsukasa, I mean, took down a bunch of rabid lions and tigers with his bare hands solo. So yeah, guy that used to work for listening to sonars apparently is able to sniper shot with a bow and arrow from incredible distance and hear people from miles away. You have to kind of suspend your disbelief with a few things, even though it is a show about science. But aside from that kind of stuff, it's always a very entertaining show. It just has such a fun nature to it. Most of the stuff they're kind of dealing with is always kind of ends with a very positive note. You are dealing with basically weeding out society of who you want gone or not gone. Basically mass murder that Tsukasa is essentially doing, even though they are in stone form. But everything always has like a positive end to it. There was so many incredible moments, especially in this series or this particular season, that really did catch me off guard. And I was like, wow, that's a really great character moment right there. That character's determination to do what she did was incredible. Overcoming this was fantastic. The conclusion of basically the war between Senku and Tsukasa was really well done. The doors that it opens up for future possibilities is wide open. The fact that they labeled the last episode as prologue makes me wonder, like, where in the heck you're going to go from here if that's a prologue. It does everything so fantastically. The way that it presents everything is so well done. Is a show that I just love watching. It's so well animated. You obviously see the passion the studio has for this story itself. Like I said, the limitless possibilities going forward. I believe I did see that they have a sequel in store already for it. So I'm really, at this point, curious as to where this series is going to go going forward. Because you have labeling this as a prologue insinuates that there is a broad possible storyline going forward, and we haven't even scratched the surface. So it really does have me interested. I mean, I thought that the story behind Byakuya was absolutely stellar. I thought the way that concluded this war was great. So it has all the makings of a great storyteller. I'm just really excited for, and kind of nervous as to what this writer has in store for us going forward if this is just a prologue. So again, really excited to see what's going forward. Love seeing them struggle to make common things we use that are stored on our shelf. But we'll see where it goes from here. But I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Dr. Stone War. And hopefully we'll be back here for the next season for it. And as always, if you did like this video, please leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. I thank everybody for their support. And y'all take care.